The day I turned 7 years old, I received a gift from my grandma that engraved itself into my memory: coffee chocolate. I remember me standing, the chocolate in my hands, slowly deciphering the words, coffee, chocolate. And I remember the disappointment I felt. Not so much because I received a gift that I didn't like. No, I felt disappointed, almost a little angry, because I felt that she didn't know me at all, that she hadn't thought about the 7-year-old girl I was, and that I for sure wouldn't like to have coffee in any form. But still, I had received a gift, and I swallowed my frustration, conjured up a smile, and said, "Thank you." As the years passed on, I got to know my grandmother better, and that she didn't think or care about these things with anybody. And coffee and schnapps chocolate remained the more innocent things she offered, and I learned to refuse. Now, in today's gospel reading, Peter struggles with receiving a gift as well. Jesus gathers with the ones he loves, as the Gospel of John puts it, his followers, disciples, friends. He knows that his time is up. His hour had come to depart from this world and go to the Father. So for one last time, he wants to share a meal with them, the Last Supper. And he is full of thoughts and questions and emotions. He is about to die, but does not know when or how exactly. Will it be painful? Will it take long? Will they be cruel? What if he loses his trust and faith? And his loved ones, his friends, disciples, followers, how will they handle the situation? Will they succeed and carry on his message, his love, or was it all in vain? There must be one more way to make them understand and see what he means. So during supper, Jesus gets up from the table, takes off his outer robe, and ties a towel around himself. Then he pours water into a basin and begins to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that is tied around him. Washing the feet. That's a common habit, and the disciples are used to it. It's a customary thing to happen, but with one exception. Usually it's the household servants who do it. But today it's their teacher, their rabbi. He moves from one to another and they fall silent. Everything you can hear now is the splash of water being poured into the basin over dusty, calloused feet. And now it's Peter's turn. But Peter doesn't want to accept the gift he is about to receive. He objects. "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answers, "You do not know now what I'm doing, but later you will understand." Peter says to him, "You will never wash my feet." I feel with Peter. This gift doesn't feel right. Jesus, his teacher, his leader, his hope for the future, is kneeling in front of him, touching his dusty feet. He is humiliating himself, lowering himself in every respect. He's not behaving like he should as a leader. And touching his feet? That feels embarrassing and distressing, to say the least. Who is he, Peter, that Jesus kneels before him? But Jesus persists and washes and puts on his robe and returns to the table. "Do you know what I have done to you?" Jesus asks. It's no surprise that Peter doesn't understand what Jesus wants to show him. In fact, no one does. They can only see their rabbi, their leader, the one who is welcomed by jubilant and hopeful crowds as he rides into Jerusalem. Therefore, no one says a word. Silence. Embarrassed, they're staring to the floor. "I have set you an example. If I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet." Isn't it strange that we always talk about this part? We ought to wash other people's feet. We ought to serve one another and not be afraid of lowering ourselves. lowering ourselves like Jesus did when he became human or when he knelt down to wash their feet? We know, at least in theory, that this lowering ourselves in service to one another is an act of complete love. That's what we as baptized are called to do and what we confess and promise to be doing. But we never talk about how difficult it is to receive this love. That we sometimes struggle like Peter to accept a gift or a service that is offered to us because we don't want to burden someone. That we don't feel worthy to receive an act of kindness or a present because it's too intimate or too embarrassing, too awkward to receive it, like the foot washing. Because it's too big or it may feel humiliating. That we don't understand what is offered to us because we can't see beyond our narrow minds. That we can't accept it because we can't think outside the box, beyond our self-image, expectations, and our prejudices. How often do we reject this love knowingly or unaware? And it also makes me think how often we take these gifts, this love, for granted because we encounter it in so many ways every day. In my experience, it is easier to receive a gift or a service from a friend. And that is how Jesus challenges us to see one another as friends. Friendship is the one human relationship based on equality. That doesn't make our task easier, because how many people do you call your friend? Jesus calls everyone at this table his friend. Everyone, including Judas, the one who is about to betray him, and Peter, who will deny him. Jesus' death is not a sacrifice or a retribution, but is a gift of himself to his friends. God's love in flesh and blood. So how would you describe your relationship to God? Are you God's subject, or are you a friend of God? As baptized, aren't we friends of God? What did I do with the coffee chocolate? I don't remember. Maybe I gifted it. Maybe I threw it away. But I do know what I do with this gift, the other one I received from Jesus. I'll test it. I'll use it. I'll question it. I'd spread it and pass it on. Live into it and let it transform me. Amen.